Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. Welcome back to Financial Freedom for the Lazy Person. The question is, are you lazy enough to want to make work optional? And in this video, which is going to be a nice short video for those people who would never click on a 2-hour video, because if you want your questions answered during a live stream, every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, I do a live stream that lasts as long as the questions do. But in this short video, I'm going to talk about what I actually lost or gave up to retire early. Right? Most people love the idea of retiring early. No boss, no alarm clock, no stress. But I don't think anybody's willing to do what it takes to get here. This is a two-part video. What it took to get the money machine right. Right? I had to get the finances right. I had to create a machine that made the money so I didn't have to sell my life 1 hour at a time in order to make money. But there were some trade-offs, and most people won't make these trade-offs. In my opinion, every one of these trade-offs was worth it. A lot of people will call these sacrifices. I just call them life changes. Things I did different. Like vacations. Gone. I didn't take one for 8 years. I didn't start thinking about money until I was 40, and I wasn't in a very good financial position. But I could not take a vacation for the next several years. It ended up being 8. The new fancy car? Nope. I drove a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old Jeep. I had to have two so that one of them would run well enough to get me to work. Eating out? Nope. I raised 3 picky kids when it came to food, and that's actually one of the reasons why I've taken an oath to never cook again. Ever. Cable, streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, all of that? Nope. My poor kids grew up on the Friends DVD boxed set. I did have YouTube. I did have the interwebs, and I used it for tutorials and educating myself. People aren't willing to do that. There are people who have streaming services but no savings rate. A lot of these are kind of easy to quantify. Some of them aren't, right? I gave up cable, I gave up streaming services, I gave up vacations and the newer cars, but I also gave up caring what people think about me, right? Their judgment never paid my bills. So getting rid of the idea of worrying about that. I gave up normal, right? The friends and family who didn't understand delayed gratification and how we could get together and have a meal, but we didn't have to go out to eat. They just kind of drifted away. When my focus was on finances, because I wanted to focus on them for a while so that I would never have to focus on them ever again, people didn't like it. I gave up exciting, right? I learned to love boring, overtime, side hustle, putting your money to work, slow and steady. I gave up that instant gratification that keeps most people trapped in their jobs for decades longer than they need to be. I gave up retail therapy. I replaced it with investor therapy, right? Analyzing a deal was the dopamine hit that I needed instead of buying something that I didn't need to get the dopamine hit that I needed. This is a good one. You can file this one away. I gave up pride. I had employees who worked for me as I was slowly demoted down to president of the company that I worked at, who were buying $700,000 houses, $110,000 cars. And I was driving my old beaters and living in one side of a duplex, and not even a fancy duplex, a Class C property. So their boss was living worse than them. What boss wants to do that? What boss wants to think I've been successful on climbing the corporate ladder, but my life hasn't reflected that? I gave up a lot of mindsets about money. That's why there's an entire section in the book, Financial Freedom for the Lazy Person, which you can find on Amazon. There's an entire section on mindset shifts. People think rich people are evil. They had to do something shady to get there, which means you're probably not going to try very hard to become rich if you hate the thing that you're trying to be. I gave up thinking get rich quick was a thing, and I learned that get rich quick in real estate is a thing as long as you understand 10 years is quick. I gave up mistrust in the process. People who told me it'll never work, it's too risky. I had to give that up. I had to see past it. This is just a short list of those things that we do to get to financial freedom. The second part of this video is what do you actually give up when you retire early? Right? I've been demoted all the way down to president of the company. I was giving up a title. I was giving up a leadership and management position at a company that I helped grow. I was walking away from it. I was walking away from $2 million in golden handcuffs. Because when you don't have enough, money is everything. And once you have enough, money is just a thing, to quote the basketball player. But money being just a thing, no amount of money in golden handcuffs could have kept me at work. So the owners of the company that thought someday when I retired, maybe 2 million wasn't enough. We should have had the golden handcuffs higher. Maybe he would have stayed around. There is no amount because time freedom, once you have enough money, more money doesn't make your time freedom more. I gave up a nonprofit that I founded. One of the ways I grew the company I was at is I founded a nonprofit that grew the company. A decade of my life poured into making a nonprofit that helped people find non-driving jobs while I worked at a CDL school. And that helped grow our company by giving us relationships with about 1,200 different employers. And I walked away from it, something that took a decade of my life. I gave up that drug that kills our dreams, the paycheck. If you're working right now, you know that you are spending your hours putting your employer in your debt. Usually in a 2-week period, some people are paid once a month, but every 2 weeks, your employer settles that debt by giving you a paycheck. You put them in your debt by working, and then they pay you. Consistency. I don't have that. No more paycheck. Now, instead of being paid for my time, I'm paying paid for what I did instead of what I'm doing. I gave up company healthcare. Don't let healthcare be the handcuffs. This is actually a big problem. Most people think your employer provides healthcare. They don't. They provide healthcare insurance. They don't pay your deductible. They don't pay when you go out of policy. You need an asset for every expense. You have to eat. You want fuel. You want to travel. You need shelter. We have an asset pay for all of that. People understand that. But as soon as you say healthcare, they go, oh, I can't afford it. Got to work. No, you need an asset to pay for your healthcare premiums. I gave up 8 years of vacations. And when I finally started vacations, I was getting paid vacations from my employer. I no longer have paid vacations because now every single day is a paid vacation. If I don't even get out of bed, or if I go scuba diving, or if I go for a walk, or if I make a YouTube video, I make about $700 a day, no matter what I do. I gave up the comfort of a predictable schedule. When somebody tells you between Monday and Friday, you're going to work at least 8 hours a day. And then as you get demoted down into your management role, you're going to work 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to midnight, because that's when your instructors work and you need to be available. That's a predictable schedule. I know where I'm going to be. I know which campuses I needed to go to. What parts of your job tell you what to do and where to go. And now I have to make videos saying what I'm going to do so that I'll go do it, which is why I just booked my tickets to Thailand. I gave up my work family. Well, this is the hard one to get across, to articulate well, is you, most of us, so I could say you and me, because most of us, we have people at work we get along with, we have people at work we don't like, but you have a work family. You sometimes when you go to work, what's the most important thing you do today? You all decide what you're going to do for lunch. You get the work done, you go to the company, you make profit, but what are you doing for lunch with your work family? Who are you going to partner with today for what they want to eat? Because when you walk away from your job, you become worse than a stranger to the people you used to work with. Everyone I know that's retired early is kind of shocked, myself included, the lumberjack landlord included. The people I used to work with never reach out. We don't get together. We don't hang out and barbecue. Actually, just called a guy who retired like a year before me, and he was shocked because no one else is calling him. Um, but you said with your actions, which speak louder than words, when you left that company and you stopped focusing on that mission statement that you had, that there's more to life than that job. So if your coworkers, your previous work family meets a stranger, they can talk. What do you do? Catch up. But if they talk to you, you've said their job is not as important as your time freedom. You give all of that up. You give up the illusion of importance. Do you know how many employees I've worked with or hired who thought they were indispensable because their role was so important? The president of the company, when I walked away, I was replaced before I left because I trained the guy for 5 years to replace me because I knew I wasn't going to be around forever. What's the statement? There are graveyards full of people who thought they were irreplaceable. It's not all negative. What did I gain? Right? The no alarm clock. Do you know how many years of stress that takes off of you when you don't have an alarm clock or a schedule? No boss. No more meetings that could have been emails. No more emails that could have been handled without my input. No more stress that you don't even know you have. I gained the freedom to say no. I gained the time to do things because I want to and not because I have to. I've created space for real purpose. Purpose you don't need a paycheck for. If you have to be compensated for what you're doing, it's not your passion. It's what you've convinced yourself is better than what you could do. Retiring early wasn't about escaping work. It was about escaping dependence. That paycheck is a leash. The title is a trap. What I gave up looked like sacrifice, but it got me something priceless: control of my time. If you're thinking about retiring early, ask yourself, what are you willing to give up for the chance to never have to ask for permission again? Have a day full of amazing. The link to the info for the financial cruise for the lazy people in June of 2026 is in the description to this video with who to contact and how to book it. It's going to be from Seattle to Alaska, a week hanging out. I'm not making any money off of this. I'm just putting the group together so we can all hang out and talk about a better financial future with a group of people where you don't need a translator. Ciao.